Hello, everybody. I am Andrew here from Andrew's Meteorology, and I am going to be talking about summer weather safety tips with all of you and how to stay safe through all of the different hazards that we can encounter through the summer season. And this presentation is actually published by the National Weather Service. You can easily find it online if you wanted to pull some information from it. But I will be going through it here in detail so you know how to stay safe in all of the different hazards. So, on your screen now are some different summer weather hazards that we all need to keep in mind, and I'll be going through each one of these throughout this presentation. So, some of the different weather hazards during the summer season include tornadoes, thunderstorms, lightning, hurricanes, flooding, excessive heat, rip currents and beach hazards, wildfires, air quality, and drought conditions. So, kicking off this presentation here, we're going to talk about tornadoes. Winds from tornadoes can exceed 200 miles per hour in the worst case scenario. Flying debris is very dangerous and most often the cause of death and injuries. When encountering a tornado or in a tornadic situation, make sure you seek a sturdy shelter in a basement, storm shelter, or interior room away from windows on the lowest floor, and make sure you cover your head. And every tornado should be seen as life-threatening. So, on your screen here is a tornado sheltering guide or some guidelines to keep in mind when um, in a tornadic situation. So make sure you seek the best available refuge area immediately when tornado warnings are issued. Your chance of surviving a tornado is excellent if you follow these guidelines. So you can actually look at it for yourself there. There's worst options, there's bad options, and then on the right side of this graphic are the good and best options for sheltering in a tornado. And then some tornado products that are usually issued by the National Weather Service are tornado watches and tornado warnings. A tornado watch is issued when a tornado is possible, and that means to know your safe place, which can be storm shelter, basement, interior hall, away from windows, or stuff like that, and make sure to be ready to act quickly if a warning is issued. And that means to be prepared. A tornado warning is issued when a tornado is happening or about to happen, and you often hear like whenever rotations indicated by the radar. Um, that makes kind of the conditions favorable for a tornado to touch down, but usually tornado warnings are issued when either a tornado is happening or about to happen, or when radar indicates that rotation. And that means to immediately seek shelter in your safe place and to take action. Moving on to thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms produce damaging wind and or large hail. Make sure and take shelter in a sturdy structure away from windows. A basement or cellar would be best. Being in a vehicle is safer than being outside. Or if you are caught outside, make sure and seek the nearest public building for shelter, or, like that said, shelter in your vehicle. Conditions can change rapidly with thunderstorms nearby or overhead. Don't second guess how a thunderstorm will evolve, and take shelter before the storm and remain there through an all clear signal from the National Weather Service. And usually they push out notifications through your cell phone in those instances of severe weather. So, some severe thunderstorm products usually issued by the National Weather Service are thunderstorm watches or thunderstorm warnings. A severe thunderstorm watch is issued when a severe thunderstorm is possible and conditions are favorable. That means to stay tuned to forecast updates, monitor sky conditions, and know where to take shelter. And that also means to be prepared. A thunderstorm warning or severe thunderstorm warning is issued when a severe thunderstorm is happening or about to happen. And that means the conditions have already um, been observed for a severe thunderstorm. And that means to take shelter immediately, or in other words, to take action. Moving on to dust storms. Dust storms can reduce visibility and make travel difficult. Don't drive through dust storms. And if you are in a predicament of a dust storm, and you're in your car, make sure you pull off the road as far as possible. Stop and turn off all lights. Set the emergency brake and take your foot off of the brake to ensure taillights aren't illuminated. And we don't often see those here in the Northeast, but like, I mean, if you're traveling out west or especially in the Midwestern areas, those can be possible. Moving on to lightning. All thunderstorms produce lightning. Lightning kills an average of 30 people every year. Take shelter inside a sturdy structure. A hardtop vehicle is also a safe location. Moving on to hurricanes. Tropical storms and hurricanes can produce deadly flooding. Storm surge is ocean water that is brought inland and floods areas along the coast, which is often a result of hurricanes, especially whenever it's nearing the coast. Heavy rain can cause flooding hundreds of miles inland, and we often see hurricanes occurring during the summer or fall months. And if you're ever stuck in a situation of a hurricane, or um, if a hurricane is nearing your area, make sure you prepare your home by protecting it from flying debris. Board up windows with plywood or approved shutters. Bring in loose items from outside, such as lawn furniture, and secure your boat if you have one. And then hurricanes can strengthen quickly. Listen to local authorities and follow evacuation orders. Drive carefully and contact your loved ones once you've reached your safe location. So, some hurricane products usually issued by the National Weather Service include hurricane watches and hurricane warnings. A hurricane watch is issued when hurricane force winds are possible, and that means to prepare your home by boarding up windows and moving loose items indoors. Have an emergency supply kit ready, and that means a hurricane is possible. A hurricane warning, on the other hand, is issued when hurricane force winds are expected. That means to seek shelter in a sturdy structure or evacuate if ordered. And I mean to follow those orders if you're ordered to do so, because that's very important for your safety. And that means a hurricane is expected. Moving on to flooding. Flooding is often caused by heavy rain in the summer. More than half of all flood fatalities are vehicle related. And one thing I do got to emphasize here is to never drive through floodwaters. I often see videos online of people driving through floodwaters, and um, that can cause your vehicle to get swept away or even you to get stranded and possibly um, put your life at risk. And you don't want to do that. So never drive through floodwaters. So, some flood products usually issued by the National Weather Service include flood watches and flood warnings. A flood watch is issued when flooding is possible, and that means to stay tuned to trusted news sources and to be ready to seek higher ground if necessary. And that means to be prepared. Flood warnings are issued when flooding is happening or about to happen. Move to higher ground immediately and never drive or walk through flood waters. That means to take action immediately. Moving on to extreme heat, we're actually dealing with this right now, as this is the first major heat wave of 2025. So, heat and humidity can take a toll on the body. Make sure and know the signs of heat illness and drink plenty of water if you are in an extreme heat scenario. Reschedule outdoor work and strenuous activities until the coolest time of the day. and seek shelter out of the sun, preferably in a location with air conditioning, such as a mall. There's obviously many more locations, like usually towns and cities open up cooling centers if you're in desperate need of air conditioning. Um, but usually there's a lot of places open that have air conditioning that you can cool off in. Sunburn and heat illness can be avoided. Take breaks in the shade if necessary, and apply and reapply sunscreen to protect your skin from sunburn. And never leave children, disabled adults, or pets in parked, unattended vehicles. Some heat products usually issued by the National Weather Service include excessive heat watches and excessive heat warnings. An excessive heat watch is issued when dangerous heat is possible, and that means to reschedule outdoor activities in the coming days. Make sure that children, the elderly, and pets have a place to cool off during the heat, and that means to also be prepared. Excessive heat warnings are usually issued when dangerous heat is happening or about to happen. Avoid heavy activity and direct sunlight. Stay hydrated, find a cool indoor place, and check on children, elderly, and pets, and that means to take action immediately. So you can look at this graphic for yourself here. This just pretty much shows you the vulnerable populations and how it can affect them. Um, but I'm going to move on to rip currents. So millions of people will travel to the beach this summer and learn about rip currents before heading to the beach. And make sure you also know what a rip current is, as um, if you start swimming out into the ocean and get caught in a rip current, it can be hard to get back to shore and you're putting your life at risk. So just make sure you know what a rip current is. And I'm going to highlight that on a graphic here on the next slide. And then plan your trip by checking the forecast at weather.gov/beach. So rip currents, if caught in a rip current, make sure you relax. Rip currents actually don't pull you under. Don't swim against the current. Swim out of the current, then to shore. And if you can't escape, float or tread water. And if you need help, make sure to yell or wave for assistance. And that's why I always say if there's no lifeguard on the beach, I do not encourage you to go out into the water unless you know what you're doing. Because, like I said, if you get caught in a rip current and there's nobody there to help you, you're really putting your life at risk. So, rip currents are powerful currents of moving or of water moving away from the shore. They can sweep even the strongest swimmer away from the shore, and if at all possible, make sure you swim near a lifeguard. So, other dangerous currents to keep in mind, and you can do the research on these yourself, are longshore currents, outlet currents, tidal currents, structural currents, and you can learn more about them by going to weather.gov/safety/dangerous-currents. Moving on to wildfires. Wildfires are most often started by lightning or humans. Stay with your fire whenever you're out camping and fully extinguish your fire when finished. And never burn on dry and windy days. If you encounter a wildfire, drive or walk away from the smoke and flames immediately and make sure you call 911 and report the fire. And if told to evacuate, make sure you follow instructions from local officials. Follow the evacuation route and contact loved ones once you've reached safety. And wildfires, they can spread rapidly. Moving on to air quality and smoke. Smoke from wildfires can travel thousands of miles and cause poor air quality. And that's often why they issue air quality alerts. You've probably heard of the code orange and code red alerts. And make sure you stay indoors and keep doors and windows closed to reduce smoke entering your home. And that's why I always recommend, if you're in an area that encounters a lot of wildfire smoke, um, always I always recommend investing in some sort of like air purifier, as it'll help significantly increase the air quality in your home and make you breathe a little bit better if you have any sort of breathing complications. And then exhaust from vehicles and particulate matter are other sources of air pollution. Harmful buildup of ground level ozone can enhance health problems such as asthma. And make sure you limit time outdoors on days with poor air quality. Moving on to droughts. Dry conditions and summer heat can cause rapid onset droughts, which may impact vegetation. Long-term droughts can impact large reservoirs and the people that depend on them for drinking water. And some places may implement water conservation efforts measures to help preserve that water. So, some weather safety resources to keep in mind are on your screen, and you can even research more by punching in those links to your browser, um, and pull up all of the different safety tips for each of those topics, if you wish. But I am Andrew Wagaman here from Andrew's Meteorology, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and at least got some beneficial information here from this presentation. Bye, everybody.